Right, welcome back, and welcome back to my hellscape, which is my X5's manifold change. A lot of good ideas in the comments last time what might be wrong, and off the Facebook page as well, lots of helpful people there. So I've ordered some bits, EGR Delete just because that eliminates one leak. I've got also a new manifold to exhaust gasket, because I think that is what's leaking really. And equally I've also taken everything apart with the idea that I can put it all back in again and make sure everything's good. And also I was checking any of these for leaks, these pipes and stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is drop the turbo down a little bit, undo those bolts so I can slide the gasket I put in there, the new old one, and see if that has popped, because it would make a lot of sense if it has. I kind of hope it does, because that'll make things easier. So time to get dirty. Definitely did these tight. Not a bad thing. Do we think that's where it was leaking from? Doesn't look good, does it? So, get it closer so you can see it better. You can see it's all blowing out sort of the right as you look at it, the two lugs. Yeah, I think that'll be it. Okay, okie dokie, let's have a look what I found. So, turbo's back in, and I'm using these multi-spline bolts that BMW used. What I realised is the bolts that came with the kit, they're exactly the same length, except they've got a much easier head if you don't have the right socket. But I don't know if you can see it on here. A good background. They are really sharp and crap, and this one's all torn up. And then the threads in the turbo were all torn up, so I ended up winding the factory bolts in and out to clean the threads, and it was 10 times easier to get the threads in to start it. That gasket's thinner, but it's also those, I think it's more like the factory one, so I reckon multi-spline head bolts. I need to get another multi-spline socket because I can't find any of mine. Well, not any that are the right size, because it's 12, which is a bit odd. And then I can actually torque that up. But what I'm going to do first, God, it's getting dark, is back here. My car has a bit of a symptomatic diesel thing where it smokes on startup. Not a lot, but enough that you notice it. Pretty diesely, but I've heard that there's a little breather filter in here, and the newer version isn't a filter. I'll show you in a minute, but yeah, that goes in there, and apparently it sort of stops the problem, because that's like a paper filter, whereas that's more like a shaped plastic part to do it, so a vortexy type arrangement. So I'm going to rip all this out and yeah, see if it works. Right, lights, camera, during driving events. I've got some Allen key sticks. I've just moved this out of the way with some quick, they're like those what size are they actually? I'll tell you, I'll be a good boy and tell you. Don't even know why I've got my white ratchet now, because I'm a genius, but there you go. So they are E7, common colour. Oh, too tired. Right. So next job is just to simply find where these things are, because I can barely see, and undo them. And then when this comes off, hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. I think in some cars it's behind the air filter, but it seems to be in front of it for me. I don't know if that's normal. There you go. Right. So this is the oil breather. You can see it's like a foam paper filter, like your oil filter would be in the car maybe, or more likely air filter. Obviously the problem is, over time, that is no longer good. So what they've done is they've revised it to this thing. It's a big old bit of plastic with little like Venturi tunnels in there, so it vents that way rather than into this nasty boy. So yeah, not good, but we are fixing it. So that might explain a little smoky on the starter, which is not good. Right, well that was really easy actually, and it only cost about £5 I think for this kit, which came with all the seals and everything you need to do the job. So well worth doing if you're in the area. Hopefully that will stop it smoking a bit, but equally I've now got a working oil breather system, which is probably better than not. So yeah, the next job I want to do is take the intake manifold off. Why? Well, if I'm going to do an EGR delete, I may as well clean out the gump that's in there already. And two, I want to check what size swirl flaps I have so I can order a swirl flap delete, because that's like 20 quid, 30 quid at most, for one from China. So yeah, I'm going to do that now. It's only a few bolts I think. We'll see. There's a few pipes in the way and things, and I have no idea what's going on down there, but yeah, I'm going to lift this off, take the EGR with it, and then I'll have a little look tonight, measure it, but it's getting dark. Missus probably wonder where I am, so probably the last thing I do tonight. Yeah, probably a good idea. Someone's going to have to explain this to me. Where are my swirl flaps? I haven't got any. Anyway, I'm going to place this back on loosely and then go, because it's late. And my EGR delete's not here anyway, so I can't do that, so bit of limbo. Right, another day, another dollar. My camera was dead, so I didn't film some bits, but the intake manifold is cleaned and back on. I've also got a EGR delete, so that's where the EGR would have been, and there's a blank down there. It's an old vac line, I've just cable tied up. It came with some cable ties, so I used them. Managed to bolt the exhaust on using the old bolts and a nice 12mm 12-point socket. So it's really tight, and then I can do the other brackets up separately. So I'm going to do that, put the vacuum system back in, plumb it all up, and then I'm going to start the engine and see if I've once and truly, oops, if I finally fix this bastard. Right, I think I'm ready to give this a go now. Everything buttoned up. I think everything's plugged in again. Exhaust is on. When I was tightening the lower down pipe, there were some horrible cracking noises. I don't know what that was. I hope it wasn't the new manifold, but we'll soon find out. It's the moment of truth if the battery's got enough juice. Just going to let some oil get around the turbo now. That is way better. Obviously you can hear the whoosh, because I've got the air filter off, as it were. Fucking beautiful. You beauty. Yes. Will I get it in this bucket? Probably not, because I'm trapped. Size is it? What size is it? Bigger than that. Oh no. Oh no, He-Man's been here. Jesus. Right. It's much easier to do with that whole plate on. She's a long boy. Whee! Just caught that. Ooh. Ooh. Oh yeah, could do with a new boy. Right. Good old blueprint. Oh, I've got a washer. Nice. Cheers, lads. Cheers, lads. Oopsie. Getting this off. Not the real plastique. Seems to only come in one of the cells, which is annoying but fine. It's the one that matters really. Wonk. It's got some weight to it. That's not good. Need some lubrication on that. Some lube. Lovely lube. There's always time for lubrication. Shiny O-ring. Oh, right. Diesel oil. Like jelly. You needed this. You needed this. All back together now. Little paper foe. Well, it will take all of this. This is boring. So again, fuck the pour cap. Me and my homies hate the pour cap. That sort of saying's at max, but we are in a piss, so. Oh. Right. I've got a button up underneath and reverse it off, and then I can actually tell if it's full or not. But I better attach all the crap underneath first. Eh? Be a good idea, wouldn't it? Right. Hopefully the final day on this now. I've just got a button up underneath, and then there's some interior stuff I want to do. But there's something I've just found on the Clio that I thought I'd show you without disturbing what I found. So the boot's been open for ages. And can you see up there? There it is. I don't know if you can see it. There's a robin. He's nesting. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Well, I'm not sure if you'll like Castle Coombe, but there we go. Onwards with this, just button it up really. Yesterday off camera I got all this back in. Obviously you heard me start it up and it was fine. I need to put the washer pump back in, and underneath there's a huge structural plate that covers up everything, so yeah, I've got to do that as well. Yeah. Rightio. As you can see, I'm driving the X5, and that means it passed its MOT. Way! I will put up on screen the advisories list. think he is quite a fussy MOT tester, but that's okay. He didn't fail it on anything ridiculous. Just some advisories on obviously the fact there's covers underneath this car, so he couldn't inspect everything, has to do that. We've got advisories for tyres. I've looked and they're not near the wear indicator yet, so you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, let's put it that way. I will keep an eye out on a good deal on tyres and probably get them if one comes up soon. And there's one for a rear bush, which I was surprised by because I think the front bushes are slightly worn, but some of those are covered by the cover. So yeah, pretty common on these for bushes to go. Very similar to the L322, in fact exactly the same suspension setup really, other than the fact this has springs on the front. It's not a cheap job to do in terms of parts or easy to do in terms of labour, so that's going to be an interesting one to do. Oh, a frustration overtake there. Yeah, they made my village a 20 mile an hour, which all it means is that people overtake in the village now because they're annoyed at people doing 20 miles an hour. Cheers, West Oxfordshire City Council, West Oxford District Council, whatever. Morons. One thing I wanted to say is about jobs I did do on the car. So I did the oil breather, I had a service with air filter, and obviously I did the exhaust manifold, blah, blah, blah. When I was doing up the new exhaust manifold, nice and tight, or at least the downpipe and where it bolts to the engine, there was a concerning crack noise. No indication that I've done anything wrong. I can't smell diesel fumes anymore every time I drive it, which is great for my lungs and my brain and everything else. There is a bit more turbo whistle than I remember before. It sounds quite cool actually, but not an excessive amount. It kind of sounds like every other big diesel engine I know. So whether there is a hairline crack now, or maybe the gasket isn't quite great because those ones weren't, I don't know, but it seems to be fine, so I'm just ignoring that. There's no real symptoms of it leaking. There's not a massive boost leak noise. There's not a massive whistle. It's just general big diesel whistle. As for the oil breather, when I start it up cold now, the massive cloud of blue smoke has turned to a very little one, which I'm much more happy with. That might be due to the fact I have a couple of the Vera codes for glow plugs. I doubt they've ever been changed. They're a pain in the arse and you can snap them in the block. Sounds Motor Machine just did the glow plugs on his P38. He was very lucky because I think they weren't changed long ago, so he got them out easy, but he does say in that video how easy it is to snap them off in a block. It's terrifying for me, so I'm going to leave them until actually it's a problem, because it starts great and drives great. Speaking of driving, since I've had the MOT, I've done just over 200 miles now, probably about 220 miles. And the MPG's improved. I'm now getting an average of 33, 34 on a long trip. I was getting low 30s, late 20s before, so it clearly needed that service. Maybe the oil breather helped, maybe the exhaust manifold helped. Deleting the EGR as well. All these little things I've done. I've got a car that drives nicer, performance definitely feels much better, much smoother. Now obviously having the car up on stands for so long, I've kind of got some extra issues that I want to talk about that are very strange. Firstly, you might not be able to hear it, but this steering wheel squeaks at low speed. I don't know why, if it's the steering wheel or if it's further down the rack. I had to wrangle the turbo past the steering. There's like a U-joint, so I don't know, maybe the grease has come out of that or something. It doesn't seem to make any difference again to the driving. It's just an annoying squeak, so I will investigate that one. My MOT testing guy did text me to say good news. Well, he rang me to say good news, you've passed, but bad news is your passenger window won't go up. He eventually managed to get it to go up, and me being the curious type, on the way home I tried using it. There was a very loud plastic sounding crack, and now it seems to go up and down fine with a little clunk. So what I'm thinking has happened is, because I barely used that window and because it was sat for so long, yada yada yada, there's probably something that needs greasing in there, and there's probably something plastic that's broken in there, which is why it's a bit dodgy going up and down. I'm planning to get these door cards off and fit some sound deadening anyway, just because I like my music. I've fitted a nice sort of hidden sub in the back as well. I put the old radio back in, which is a Pioneer double-din touchscreen thing. I did buy a new Pioneer double-din touchscreen because this one, when the battery died, had a passcode, and the passcode was Fave Album from an owner, 10 years ago. Fuck knows. was the answer. So I just bought a new stereo. Then when I went on ClearSpot, I realised that one of the previous owners had already hacked into it and got the password. So I put that back in because it is a better unit, even though it's like 10 years old, and it works with the subwoofer. But the rear camera stopped working, which I found out this morning was just purely the fact that it was turned off in the settings for some reason. Maybe that's the default, I don't know. But I fixed that with a very easy fix. Also, I fixed the parking sensors. I think in the video you saw me reversing out, you noticed some of the trims missing on the front. It's because I've had the bumper off about 4 times. Ordered some parking sensors. There's 2 types, one that's straight, one that's right angle. First order I did, I got the straight ones and I needed the right angle ones. Second order I did, one of the new ones I fitted didn't work. So I had to, and they also only sent half the ones they meant to send. So in the end, they sent me a load more. They worked fine. Rear one was easy. That was just a pop in, pop out. Didn't have to take the bumper off, which is good. So now I have working parking sensors as well. So yeah, the only things left to do with the bushes, therefore the tracking, which is already out anyway. And yeah, just some tyres. But so overall, happy with this little car. I actually have missed driving it. As you can see, the ride isn't great in these things, but on a long motorway journey to my current contract that I occasionally visit them in their office, it's about 100 miles each way, and you know, when you get stuck in traffic, it is nice having the slush box. Not dissing my other car, but which is equally very comfortable and has radar cruise and all that, but sometimes you just want to take a big old bag of turd. Also, the tank on this is huge, so even though it does less MPG than my other petrol car, the tank is that much bigger that I can do a few trips down there and not have to refill. So yeah, that's kind of it for the X5 side of the video. So feel free to switch off if you don't care about my channel and don't want to like and subscribe. If you are a subscriber or want to be a subscriber, I've got some exciting news coming up, which is basically that I've teamed up with a fantastic automotive website called GT Spirit, and I'll be doing way more reviews now. I should have access to more press cars. I'm going to a couple of press events. So if you liked my reviews of, say, the Aston or the Defender or anything like that, or even of my own cars, I will be driving more cars and reviewing. So yeah, there'll be a mix of reviews on this channel and me working on cars now. Don't worry, I've not forgotten about the Clio project either. It's still there in pieces with a robin nesting in it, so I'll be messing about with that as much as I can without disturbing the wildlife if you're listening, RSPB. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe and stuff. Lots of exciting stuff coming up on the channel. I can't wait to show you. Yeah, have a good one.